Hello, everyone. Welcome to another weekly reading here, a weekly tarot reading. This one's going to be for the week of April 21st, going to April 27th. I'm going to use the Green Witch Tarot, and this is getting out a little bit later than I would have liked to. Still getting my rhythm down as far as the new place, the new digs, and the new schedule. So this week is interesting because we are going to wrap up this week with the new moon, and you can follow more about that new moon. If you go to the new moon readings or the moon phase readings that I do, the last full moon to new moon reading is up, and you can check that out. And I like to dovetail the moon phase reading into these weekly readings. And that moon phase reading was all about kind of finding a new way forward from rough times in the past. And last week, we had cards that sort of very good cards that indicated it was time to kind of connect the circuit, that things were going to be moving pretty fast. There were going to be a lot of things going on, but almost in the way of like an electronics engineer looking back at the traditional way that you could be completing circuits. As we look at this week and we get ready to go towards this new moon and this idea of finding the new way, I want to keep that in mind as we look at these cards for this week. And whereas the moon phase reading is more of sort of a magical weather report, this is a little bit more, the weekly readings for me, I think, are a little bit more brass tacks. Like, what do we really need to know to help us get through the week as we move towards this new moon? All right, let's shuffle going. We have intent going. What do we need to know for this week from April 21st to April 27th, 2025? We'll cut there. I'll pull one card. Oh, you know what? That one's coming out. Oh, those two are coming out. All right, we're going to use those two cards, and then I'm going to pull one card with the pendulum. Going with the flow. What does Spirit want us to know about the week ahead, how we're going to have a beneficial week ahead, what we need to be looking at, focusing on, what parts of the circuit need to be completed, how we can find that new way forward as we go towards this new moon to plant seeds of that new way. Okay, I'm going to put that on top. I'm going to lead with that card. Okay. Unless the cards start moving around on their own, I'll do this. All right, the pendulum card is the sun. I think we're going to continue the good vibes. I think we're in a really good vibe for spring. I think those energies are really starting to pop. A lot of earth energies are really starting to really kick in, and the sun is all about success, all about good times, all about that really positive, young energy of getting things done, of moving things forward after a long winter, right? So that's a good sign. It's going to be followed up by the King of Swords again. So we had the Queen of Swords last week. We had the Queen of Swords last week. And now we have the King of Swords and the King of Cups, or the King of Chalices. So two kings. And this is all about being masterful in what you do, in the different energies involved. We're going to dig into that, right? So the King of Swords is so the kings and the queens, to me, kings are very much about taking what they know and that masterful level and experience and creating new things, building new things for the kingdom, being able to help in new ways. It's that young energy that produces things in a well, not necessarily a creative way, but in a forward motion, forward momentum kind of way. The queens, with that yang energy, seem to work more with what they have. They take the things around them and build and support and nurture the things in their relative fields of interest. So we have swords, or athemas, and this is all about clean, clear insight, seeing what needs to be put together and putting it together, knowing what decisions need to be made, knowing what, with like an inner eye and almost a natural tendency that's honed through a lot of experience, because the kings have been through a lot. They have the wisdom and the know-how of their suit. So they know how to find those insights. They know how to take new things and put it together, especially this king. And here he's looking over documents. It looks like he's opening letters and communication. And then you have the King of Cups, right? Look at these two guys. This is all about, cups are all about emotion. They're about pleasure and abundance and emotional abundance, emotional good things, things that are supportive. I've always thought the King of Cups was very much almost like a Christos energy, right? Like coming forward, taking care of people, helping everyone, not just a singular person, but being open, the food, and being openly sharing your bounty. And because knowing that by openly sharing your bounty, that bounty will only enlarge. And together, it's very much, I'm drawn to this bee. It's very interesting. This bee and then this hawk or bird here, they both kind of hold this position above the scene. And it makes me think of natural helpers, natural elemental helpers, and communications with them, a connection with them. And it just feels like this week is more of that connecting the circuit, but that you're going to really be able to pull on these masterful things you have experience in. You're going to know what to do and how to support yourself while you do it. Is sort of the combination I am getting here. It feels like a really good week. It feels like a very positive week. Feels like it almost feels like an inverse of the beginning of the moon phase reading, where it talked about rough times. And I even felt like it was the rough fall and winter period of uncertainty. It really does feel like the sun's going to come out this week. It feels like some things are going to be brought up into the light, into the sunlight, with a sense of a happy home and a happy hearth. And this masculine or yang influence of like this rush of spring energy, basically. That's about the best I can put it, because you have the flowers, you have just almost this feeling of abundance and happiness and growth, but with clear insight how to find your way forward, how to really get yourself in place for the new moon. If you are dealing with a question, you're going to have the skills at hand. If you stop and ease into that natural energy that's going to be so heavy this week in a good way, like in a bountiful way, you're going to find ways and sort of like a clear-headed peace of mind in order to cut through those problems and to deal with those issues and to make your way through that really quickly. And I would almost say effortlessly, but it's going to come from a place of experience and a trusting of yourself. Because that's one thing any king of any suit will be able to do. They will be able to trust themselves. So trust yourself, trust the way you're going, tap into this bountiful spring energy that is in place this week as we head towards this new moon, as we head towards Beltane, the beginning of May. and this rush of energy that pretty much came off of this weekend, and the ending of the last week with the Eight of Wands and this fast-moving energy. I think that energy is going to settle a bit. It's going to settle down and just be this warm, fuzzy ball of positive energy you can pull on if you tap into that earth energy. Yeah. And I really do get a sense of wisdom and experience and knowing what you need to do, knowing easily what you need to do if you just stop and listen to spirit, and that connect your intuition to the natural energy that is going to be incredibly abundant this week. Yeah, okay. I think that's about the best way I can put it. Okay, let's pull a quick Angels and Ancestors card. I like to pull these as final punctuation marks, so to speak, for the week ahead, something to kind of underscore what this information is about. And I'll do this type of pull. This side, that side. I like to whittle it down and then whittle down further. It's kind of like dowsing, this one. Interesting. Trust in higher forces. And again, we get the Shaman card, which I like the color schemes, how these match here. And again, we have three very young, mature energies happening. A shaman and two kings. And the shaman is all about connection to the spirit world. It's all about that communication and that trust in those higher forces and in that communication that you have. So yeah, I think this is a great week for settling into yourself and settling into the things that you know the best for yourself and for where you are in this life path right now. And I think that's going to dovetail again. It dovetails really well with the previous two readings, but I think this is what's going to get us in place for that new moon energy, or the ending of that new moon energy, and that building to the full moon later in May. And we'll cover that in the next moon phase reading that will come out probably at the end of this week. All right, gang. I hope that helps. I hope that gives you some insight as to what to look forward to for this week, give you some perspective or an angle to think about and to meditate on. Please comment on this reading. Let me know your thoughts. You can leave a comment down below in the channel. Please leave a like, a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more of these. I try and get these out every week. And the moon phase reading, of course, every 2 weeks. And there's more stuff coming down the line. I am thinking about doing on May 1st, kicking off a daily reading. 1 or 2 cards, pretty quick, maybe 5 minutes. And I'm going to try and do with this new setup. It's really easy for me to get this set up and to go. So I thought I would dip my toes in the water of doing a daily reading through the month of May and see how it goes. I don't want to commit to I'm going to do it for the rest of the year, but I do want to give it a try. So let me know your thoughts on that. I think it would be fun. I think it would be a good challenge. And yeah. Anyway, trying to tap into my own kings here and this energy that's coming up. And I think I'm going to do it. But let me know what you think. You can find me at alongadifferentpath@gmail.com if you want to connect with me and get a reading or get some insight or get some wisdom from the cards and from spirit. I'd be glad to help you out there. And you can also reach me on Instagram. All that is down in the show notes. So I will see you on the next one. And I hope you have a great sun-filled week. and be listening to Spirit, everybody. Okay. Talk to you later. Peace and strength. Bye-bye.